My dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, I want to remind myself first, and then all of you, about something so simple, yet so powerful, a small action, just a few minutes of your Friday, that carries enormous spiritual reward, protection, and light. And that is reading Surah Al-Kahf every Friday. This isn't just a recommendation, it's a gift from Allah, a means for us to stay grounded, to stay guided, and to keep our hearts illuminated in a world full of distractions and darkness. Sometimes we go through life and feel overwhelmed by trials, confusion, and temptations. We lose track of our direction. We struggle to hold on to our faith. And yet Allah, in His infinite mercy, gives us tools to stay connected, to stay strong. Surah Al-Kahf is one of those tools. It's not just about reciting words. It's about transforming your heart, your focus, or in your relationship with Allah. So today, I want to give you 5 key reasons why you should make it a habit to read Surah Al-Kahf every Friday. Not just read it, but live it, reflect on it, and allow it to enter your heart. Or one of the most powerful reasons to read Surah Al-Kahf every Friday is that it serves as a shield, a protection from the greatest trial that humanity will ever face, the trial of the Dajjal. The Prophet warned us about the coming of the Dajjal, the false Messiah, and described his fitnah trial as the biggest fitnah from the time of Adam to the day of judgment. That's not a small statement. It means that this fitnah will shake people's faith to its core. People will be confused, deceived, and many will follow him thinking he is divine. And yet the Prophet gave us a simple yet profound protection. Whoever memorizes the first 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf will be protected from the Dajjal. In another narration, he mentioned reading the last 10 verses. In a time where we are constantly exposed to falsehood disguised as truth, where deception is normalized and faith is under pressure, Allah gives us verses that act like spiritual armor. Surah Al-Kahf doesn't just protect you in the future. It trains your mind and heart now to recognize truth from falsehood. When you engage with it regularly, it sharpens your spiritual insight. It teaches you how to not be fooled by superficial power, wealth, or false claims. Or each story in Surah Al-Kahf teaches you resilience and clarity. The story of the people of the cave teaches you to stand firm in your faith, even when society is against you. The story of the man with the 2 gardens warns you against being dazzled by worldly success that lacks gratitude. Or the story of Musa and Khidr teaches that not everything is as it seems, that Allah's plan is always at work, even when we don't understand it. And the story of Dhul Qarnayn teaches the balance of power and humility, a reminder that even strength must submit to divine purpose. Another powerful reason to read Surah Al-Kahf every Friday is because of the Noor, the divine light that it brings into your life. The Prophet said that the one who recites Surah Al-Kahf on the day of Jumu'ah will have a light that will shine from him from one Friday to the next. Subhanallah, just imagine that light surrounding you, enveloping you, guiding you in a world that is increasingly filled with darkness. And this isn't just a metaphorical light. It's a real spiritual illumination that Allah places in the heart, in your thoughts, in your decisions, in your actions. Light that helps you see clearly when the rest of the world is lost in confusion. Light that helps you recognize right from wrong when others are following trends blindly. Light that gives your heart peace in moments of fear or anxiety. We live in a time where people are searching for peace, for direction, for clarity. So many are lost in the darkness of doubts, depression, and worldly distractions. But the Qur'an, and especially Surah Al-Kahf, becomes that weekly recharge like a lamp in the night. When you make it a habit, something beautiful happens inside you. It's like Allah turns on a switch in your heart. You begin to think differently. Your reactions change. You become more reflective, more aware, more centered. That's what Noor does. It doesn't remove all hardship, but it helps you navigate through it with clarity and calmness. It gives you strength without arrogance, hope without delusion, and humility without despair. This light also touches your surroundings. It affects how you interact with your family, how you speak to your spouse, how you treat your parents, how you raise your children. When your heart is full of Noor, it radiates outward. You become someone who brings calm instead of chaos. Or you become a person people feel safe with because your light is not just for you. It becomes a mercy to others. The beautiful thing is, This Nur is not dependent on how perfect you are. It's not reserved only for scholars or people who've memorized the Qur'an. It's for the one who sincerely turns to Allah, who takes time once a week to sit with Surah Al-Kahf, to read it slowly, to reflect, even if just a few verses. And Allah, in His infinite generosity, responds by filling your soul with light. Sometimes you don't see the immediate effects, but trust that the angels are writing that your heart is being shaped and that your soul is being protected. This world is temporary, but the light you carry because of your connection to the Qur'an, that light remains. It guides you in this life, and it will guide you in your grave and on the day of judgment when all other lights are extinguished. What a gift from Allah, all for just a few minutes every Friday. Surah Al-Kahf is not just a chapter to be read, it's a mirror for the soul. It teaches you how to respond to the tests that every human being inevitably faces in this life. Tests of faith, wealth, knowledge, and power, all of them are covered in this one surah. And what's so beautiful is that Allah doesn't just describe these tests, He shows you how real people dealt with them, so you can reflect, learn, and apply the wisdom in your own life. Because whether we admit it or not, we are all being tested constantly. Some of us are tested with doubt, others with material success, others with confusion about the unseen, and some with influence and authority. Surah Al-Kahf becomes your weekly training, your check-in point, your reminder that this life is a test and that every test has a correct response. The story of the people of the cave is the test of faith. These were young men who lived in a time where their beliefs were under threat. They were pressured to conform, to give up their religion, to follow the crowd. But instead of compromising, they turned to Allah. They withdrew from a corrupt society, trusting that He would protect them. And He did. This story speaks directly to anyone who is trying to hold on to their deen in a world that's pushing them in the opposite direction. It's a reminder that Allah honors those who are sincere and firm in their belief, even if they're few in number. Or then there is the man with the 2 gardens, a test of wealth. He had everything, beautiful land, flowing rivers, crops, and success. But he became arrogant. He attributed everything to himself, saying, I don't think this will ever perish. He even doubted the day of judgment. And just like that, everything was destroyed. It's a lesson that wealth, no matter how secure it seems, is never permanent. It's also a reminder to be grateful, to stay humble, and to never let success blind you to your need for Allah. The story of Musa and Khidr teaches the test of knowledge. Musa, though a prophet, had to humble himself and travel to learn from someone who knew things he didn't. It reminds us that no matter how much we know, Allah's knowledge is infinite. Sometimes things happen in our lives that we don't understand. We might think something is bad for us, but Allah is protecting us. Or we might be upset about a delay, but it's part of a bigger plan. This story teaches us to trust, to surrender to the wisdom of the one who sees what we cannot. And then the story of Dhul Qarnayn, the powerful ruler, teaches the test of authority. He had influence, reach, resources, yet he remained humble. He used his power to serve and protect, not to oppress. In a world where power often corrupts, this story reminds us that real leadership is about responsibility, not ego. One of the most beautiful and deeply needed gifts that Surah Al-Kahf offers us is that it strengthens our connection to the unseen. In a world where everything is about what can be seen, measured, and proven, the Qur'an gently reminds us that reality is far bigger than what meets the eye. We live in a time where we are constantly being told that only what is visible matters. Careers, appearances, material success. But the believer knows that what is unseen, the world of the soul, the angels, the hereafter, the plan of Allah, is more real than anything in front of us. Surah Al-Kahf draws your heart back to that reality. When you read about the people of the cave, you are reminded that they were not saved by power or numbers. They were saved by Iman, something invisible but powerful. They trusted in the unseen. They left their homes and lives for the sake of Allah, not knowing what would happen next. And Allah responded by covering them in His mercy and preserving them for centuries. You don't always have to see the result of your efforts. You just need to trust that Allah sees them. The entire story of Musa and Khidr is built around this same idea. Musa saw actions that seemed unjust. A boat being damaged, a child being killed, a wall being built in a town that rejected hospitality. But later, he was shown that all of it had a deeper wisdom. This is perhaps one of the hardest tests in life, when things don't make sense. When you lose something or someone, when your plans fall apart, when your dua doesn't seem to be answered. Surah Al-Kahf teaches you to submit not just to what is easy, but to what is confusing. Because Allah's knowledge is vast, and He is always working behind the scenes in ways we cannot see. The test is not whether you understand everything. The test is whether you still trust. Reading Surah Al-Kahf regularly builds this trust. It builds the mindset of a believer who doesn't need to chase every answer, who doesn't need constant validation from the world, or because their heart is anchored in Allah's promise. It helps you rise above superficial thinking and focus on your purpose. It reminds you that life is not random. There is divine order even in the chaos, and that our actions, our intentions, even our patience, all have weight in the unseen world. This connection to the unseen is what makes a person strong in their faith, even when they feel weak. It's what makes someone keep praying when nothing seems to change. It's what makes you choose honesty, even when dishonesty looks easier. And it's what fills your heart with hope, even when the world tries to drown you in despair. The more you recite and reflect on Surah Al-Kahf, the more you begin to live with this awareness. You begin to walk through life, not just with your eyes, but with your heart. Surah Al-Kahf is more than just a chapter you read on Fridays. It's a reset, a reminder of why you're here, where you're going, and who's really in control. One of its most powerful effects is that it renews your sense of purpose. Life is fast. Every day we're pulled in so many directions: work, family, responsibilities, goals, distractions. And somewhere in that rush, the heart can get tired. The soul starts to feel heavy. You begin to wonder, why am I doing all of this? What's the point? And that's where Surah Al-Kahf gently realigns your heart with your true purpose to worship Allah, to seek His pleasure, to walk this life with meaning, not just motion. The stories in Surah Al-Kahf aren't just about people in the past. They are timeless because they speak to the human soul in every generation. Each story brings you back to the reality that this world is temporary, that tests will come, and that patience is the key to surviving those tests with your faith intact. When you read this surah, especially on Friday, the day of Jumu'ah, the weekly aid for the believer, it gives you a chance to pause and reflect. It's like Allah is inviting you every week to step out of the noise and return to clarity. You're reminded that this dunya, with all its glitter and promises, is not the destination. The man with the 2 gardens had everything: wealth, status, comfort. But he lost it all because he forgot his dependence on Allah. It's not just a story, it's a wake-up call. How easy it is to get caught up in what we're building, earning, achieving, and then forget why we were given it in the first place. Reading Surah Al-Kahf pulls your heart back to gratitude, to humility, and to perspective. Or it says, don't lose your hereafter chasing a world that will eventually fade. The surah also teaches deep lessons in patience. Or whether it's the youth in the cave waiting in isolation, or Musa learning to be patient with Khidr's strange actions, or Dul Qarnayn traveling across lands to serve people, each story whispers to your heart, be patient. Not just with difficulty, but with delay, with confusion, with the unseen. Allah's plan is always unfolding, and your job is to walk with trust, not always with answers. And above all, Surah Al-Kahf renews your trust in Allah's plan. When things feel overwhelming, when your path seems uncertain, it gives you the inner strength to say, or I don't know what's coming, but I know Allah is with me. That level of surrender is powerful. It gives you peace in the chaos. It allows you to keep going even when nothing makes sense on the outside. This is what makes Surah Al-Kahf a gift. It isn't just a chapter to read. It's a weekly reminder of who you are, who Allah is, and how to walk through life with faith, patience, and purpose. My beloved brothers and sisters, Surah Al-Kahf is not just a surah. It is a weekly spiritual retreat, a time to step away from the noise of the world and reconnect with the light of the Qur'an. When you read it with reflection, when you commit to its lessons, when you let it enter your heart, it changes you. It elevates your thinking. It protects your faith, and it prepares you for whatever trials may come in a world where so many are lost in distractions, where truth is blurred and falsehood is polished to look appealing. You need a light. Allah gives you that light every Friday. Don't leave it behind. Start this week. Make the intention, even if it's difficult at first, try. If you can't read the whole surah, read what you can. If you struggle with Arabic, read the translation. Just begin and keep going, because this isn't about information. It's about transformation. It's not just about reading. It's about living. May Allah bless you all with the love of the Qur'an. May He make Surah Al-Kahf a light in your life, a comfort in your grave, and a shield on the day of judgment. May He guide our hearts, protect our faith, and keep us steadfast until we meet Him. Jazakun Allahu khairan for giving me your time and your ears. May Allah reward you and write this reminder heavy on our scales on the day where nothing will benefit except a sound heart. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.